Hello everyone, should be live now. Just gonna check as always to make sure things are working. Looks like it is. Yeah, okay. I'm good. Alright, so today is gonna be a short stream because after the stream I'm going to work on creating a new update for the playtest, which I'll hopefully also do today in my Discord server. So I actually forgot to do that before the stream. I'm gonna probably do it after, but then before the playtest. But I will do the all this visual effects stuff on the stream. So this stream's gonna be pretty short, I think, because I've done sparks and particles a bunch of times, so I can implement it pretty quickly. I think I feel like starting with particles maybe. So I have existing particle systems I can use here, which I can grab from my other games. I'm trying to think if there would be any downsides to doing that, which I don't think there are. It could be a bit messy, but the problems are very minor. Alright. So I'm gonna go and find a reference for this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go to the last game I released, which was Explode, and I can probably find something to reference here. I found it. Okay. Alright, so here's my particles file. Actually, this is a single particle. It doesn't even have a thing, a class for managing particles. But here's some particle code. So it looks like, let me see. The main thing that's useful here is that it comes with the loader for the images, and then it comes with update and draw functions, and so there's a bunch of attributes in here that are kind of unused. So I'm gonna grab the particles file and then just copy it in, and I'll clean it up so that it's consistent with the rest of my code. Data scripts. What kind of, I guess particles go into visual effects, and then I gotta go grab the images here. As is kind of standard, I generally do this stuff off screen, but I'm almost done. Explode, data, images. Alright. There's a particles folder that I can use. So I can go ahead and just take my particles and drop them in here. Did I not use the circle particles? Hold up. I'm gonna have to go grab more particle stuff, because apparently Explode, I didn't ever use any circle particles, which is new to me. I guess Cave-In might have it. No, Cave-In doesn't have it. Where did I... What was the last game I used circle particles on? Maybe Linus? Ah, I found it. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete this grass, and instead I have P, which is kind of my default particle, with a bunch of images. So the reasoning behind using a bunch of images for particles like this is that, like instead of just drawing circles, is that Pygame circles are kind of funky looking and they don't look too clean. So if you want nice circles, you have to draw them yourself. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this for my particle system, but I do have to update my code first for this, which should be over in VFX particles. So I'm gonna have to update this. Alright, I'm gonna read chat real quick. Playtest is today? Yes, playtest is today. Probably, unless something goes horribly wrong. I'll also be probably taking a nap after I finish this stream. And then, so my expectation, the playtest will probably be, maybe 5 or 6 hours from now, is my best guess. We'll see. Is my game available on Steam? Not this one, but I have 2 other games available on Steam. Amazing sockets for the multiplayer, yes. Alright. But yeah, the playtest will be interesting. The way it works is normally I'll just hop into the voice chat in my Discord server, and everyone who wants to joins the voice chat, and then I'll send out the files and you can join. I will say though that for this next playtest, I'll probably be recording as I do it. I'm not streaming, but I might make a video out of it. I'll see. Anyways, there's a bunch of random stuff in here. Going off of my other code, I should be copying something here. Nope, that's not it. Where is it? Here we go. I need rough node. This allows me to, actually no I don't, because the individual particles don't access the world. They get rendered onto it. So instead of ref node, I get the reference tree from there, I think. I think that's how it works. We'll see, hold on. Yeah, it's just reference tree. So I can drop that, I think. Do I have a color key in the assets? Maybe not. Where did I put my assets? It's in here? No. Here we go. Do I have a color key anywhere? Apparently not. That's a little bit annoying. So I'll leave this here. So load particle images. The swap color I can grab from my, where is it? Is it this one? No, it's wait, what is shard? Oh, I know what shard is. So that's the spinning cube thing. Where did I put it? IO? Wait, no, not IO. A mosquito. Did I not? Oh, GFX detail, here we go. This one has swapped color, so from data.scripts.misc.gfxutil import swap color. So that utility function can be removed, and then from here I'm gonna go ahead and do this. We'll give it data images particles, I think. And then let's go ahead and print out the particles, make sure they're all loaded. Print, I think it's going into particle images. I gotta start up my server here. Where did I put it? CD home, DaFluffyPotato, and online game, CD server, Python 3 server.py. Okay. The server is running, so I should be able to run the game and see what images are loaded. Okay. Just gonna let it load in real quick, and then I'll close it. So it should be in here somewhere. Oh, I'm dumb. I never imported this, so it won't get in. Look, it won't run the image loading. So I gotta import this somewhere. So realistically, this is gonna be under the world. So I'll do from data scripts.vfx.particles import particles. I think this should run this code over here, though, even though I'm just importing this particle. What happened? Cannot convert. Okay, so I can't load it that early, it seems. So what I'm gonna have to do is take this, go over particles. I can't have this, so I'm gonna go over to assets. I'm gonna take that, and instead of taking particles, I'm gonna take the load particle images. And then I'll delete that and just throw them over into here. Theoretically, this should work. No. Particles from... What? Oh, it's particle and not particles. Okay, this is being a little bit annoying. I'm gonna drop it in here. Alright, I think I got it. Maybe? Here we go. This is what I was looking for. So we have P, and then we have our images, which is good. That means I loaded all of our particles. Which means from here we can create a particle system. I'm actually going to create the particle manager thing from in here. So I'm gonna take in ref node, and then we can add our particle system. So class particles, and then this inherits from ref node, def init self. I forgot how the initialization of ref node is supposed to work, so I'm gonna go check the reference here. There's a super.init. I think that's the main thing. And then let's say self.particles equals an empty list. So it should have an update function and a render function. Do I release any beta? If you're talking about this game, this game hasn't been publicly released at all. I will do a playtest later today, probably, in my Discord server if you want to join. Alright. So for the update, just do for particle in self.particles particle.update, I believe. So I already have this update function. For DT, we can do DT equals self.rt. No, self.nd. And then we can look up what would be the window, and then where's the window? We have our window right here, and window has DT, so we can do window.dt, and then we update that with DT. So this will return whether or not it's alive. So alive equals that. So I'll do enumerate of that, and then it needs to be list of the enumerate, and then reversed, and then from here I can take I, and if not alive, self.particles.pop I. So that will manage all my existing particles. So now I just need to be able to render them. So for particle in self.particles, I'm going to do particle.render, and I believe it just goes onto the display. Oh, draw. Why is it draw? This is old code of mine. I used to say draw sometimes instead of render. So self.nd window.display, that's the surface we're drawing onto. We need a scroll value. I believe nd world. Let's see here. So over here in world, I believe we have, yes, that's scroll. So we grab that scroll, and that will be our offset. I need to check the code here, make sure it's using that to subtract rather than add. So we get our scroll, and over here it's minus, so that's good. You can tell it's really old code of mine because there's no spaces right here. I don't know how many years ago that I started using spaces between my operators, but yeah, this must be pretty old if I don't have any spaces there. Hopefully I'll make a multiplayer tutorial better than Tech with Tim. So I'm gonna wait until I've actually released something that's multiplayer before I make a multiplayer tutorial. I think that's more appropriate. So I wouldn't expect to see anything for a while. And then even if I do release a multiplayer game, it's not a guarantee to make a multiplayer tutorial. This is a multiplayer game. I wouldn't say a web game because that implies to a lot of people that implies that it runs in the web browser, and it doesn't. It's a normal Pygame game, and but it's online. This is Python, not JavaScript. Alright. Also, yeah, JSON is not JavaScript. Just curious, was I actually able to get away with using the computer for longer than 30 minutes for programming? Oh, are you coming from, I guess, my most popular video where I mentioned that I had time restrictions when I was younger? But yes, the answer is yes, I was able to use my computer a lot longer by programming. My parents had time restrictions on me using my computer, but I decided to make games instead of playing them so that I could get around their time restrictions, and that did end up working. What can you do to speed up computations? You've tried PyPy, but that slows it. Any advice? My recommendation is that you pretty much just write good code for most things. There's, well, PyPy, a lot of those like Python compilation projects, because of the way that Pygame is implemented, it does actually slow it down. So for the compiled Python stuff, it benefits you when you're writing logic in your own code that's taking up a large portion of the time. It will slow down the Pygame stuff. If you wanted, you could split it and you could speed up your logical stuff using compiled Python. But for the most part, my recommendation is, yeah, just write more efficient code. For the overwhelming majority of tasks, you don't need the performance from a language like C++ or whatever. It really depends on what you're doing, but there are ways to do most of the things you would do in game development. If you're concerned, well, that's if you're talking about the logical part. There's also the Pygame part, where if you're having problems where, like, for example, you're trying to do parallax with full screen 1080p images, that will give you some problems. But that's just an SDL problem. So if that's becoming a problem for you, I would recommend that you switch to using like modern GL with Python, or you can use Raylib, and there are other options as well that are OpenGL based, where you can render more pixels, but you actually can render pretty much less images. So one of the things about Pygame is it's actually generally better with rendering a bunch of particles, at least in the primitive implementations, than OpenGL based stuff is. Alright. Alright, so you're just saying I should just make that tutorial at some point. You can actually follow my tutorials. That's good to hear. I'm making a tutorial for beginners with Python soon. That's the next tutorial I'm working on. It's just gonna be like 3 hours long. I've already recorded over an hour for it. But my goal was to have that out yesterday, but then it ended up being longer than expected. So I'm planning on having a different video out soonish. Maybe I'm hoping maybe this weekend or in the first couple days next week, that I'll have a different video about Python's future in game development. Anyways, what's happening with Vagrant? I haven't worked on it recently, but actually haven't done hardly any game development outside of streams in the last month or two, because I've been busy with other stuff. But I think I'm going to, at some point here, probably soon, I'm going to start switching in Vagrant for these streams instead of this project. So like after this playtest, like so maybe next week or the week after, I might stream Vagrant instead. How long have I been programming? I don't know why someone's said, oh no, never mind, you're not talking to me. Okay. Alright. I'm just catching up on chat here before I move on. You wanted to learn C++, OpenGL to make games, but your brain can't handle pointers. If you're using OpenGL, there are some better options than C++, I think. Well, first of all, you can just straight up use OpenGL with Python directly with PyOpenGL. And then there's stuff like ModernGL, which is more object-oriented implementation of OpenGL. And then there's if you don't want to do it in Python for some reason, you could go ahead and use like some of the C# or Java bindings. And then if you do it in like C# or Java, you won't have to really deal with pointers, so is that. Why Adam and not VS Code? I don't really care, it's just what I use. So the language you start programming with, I would say, doesn't really matter too much, like in just the order you learn. I would say generally start with I guess yeah, I would say start with an easier language, and then if that language is not what you want to be using for most projects, I would pick up the language you want to be using for most projects next. Once you've learned 2 languages, so I would say in terms of the level of the language, so like high level, low level, I would say learn 2 different levels. So I would say there's also like the mid level where it's like the Java like stuff. So my recommendation would be learn a language, either mid level or high level first, and then you can pick another language that's in a different level after that. Say like you could learn like Java and then Python, or Java and then C++, or like Python and then C++ or something like that. But I think once you do 2 languages at different levels, you get most of what you need out of being familiar with multiple languages. And the biggest improvement you can make to yourself as a programmer is to improve your skills in the languages you do know, rather than just stacking on more. Alright. So let's go ahead and do the rest of this stuff here. So this particles needs to be included into the world. I don't know why I closed that earlier. So we have render and update in here. Let's go ahead and do self.particles equals particles, and up here let's go ahead and add an s onto particles, and we can do self.registerChild, and on the update self.particles.update, and then we can do particles render. So we want the particles to be over the projectiles but under the firefly. So particles right here dot render. And then from here, let's see here. We need to be able to add particles, and that should be the final step here. So there's a bunch of arguments here. I'm gonna go ahead and just simplify that. This code's so old that I took X and Y instead of like a position. So let's take that. So I think this code, this must have been like 2018 or something. I don't even know. So we take our position, particle type, motion, decay rate, start frame, custom color. I can take most of the stuff and then just do let's just create a function here, add particle, self, and then we just take all these arguments. So I'm gonna drop it right here. I don't need physics for this. I'm not doing particle physics yet, so I'm not gonna pass that in. And then wait, hold on. So P equals particle, and then we can give it our position, and then we'll just give it all the same information. And then physics equals false. Put a colon right here. Self.particles.append P. So from here, I can just take this function, and then I should be able to add particles. So the first thing I was going to add particles to was, I could do enemy spawn, but blood and flesh is easier. So that's going to be on hit and then the death of entities. So I'm going to do on hit first. So the on hit is pretty much just when an entity gets hit. That might be, where would that be? I'm gonna go with, where is it? Entities, entity. This should have like a damage function, maybe. Oh wait, you know what? It's probably in living entity. No, man. Remote entity. Where is the damage stuff? Damage should be. So in the projectile code, there should be code for damaging things. So the question is, where did I put my projectile code? Oh, it's over here. I don't know why it's over here. So add update. Here we go. So directly makes a request to damage. So what I'm going to do is let's do entity.damage. And then for the fun of it, we just kind of give a direction, I guess. And the direction of the damage should probably be, or let's give it a point in the direction. So let's say self.position.copy, or what I can do is just tuple self.position, and then we can do we want the angle. So that's just self.rot. So this is radians. What I'm going to do now is go over to the living entity code here, which I believe is inherited from, yeah, def damage self, and as we saw earlier, it takes a position and an angle, and then we just add our particles from here. So from here we do rt.node world.particles.add particle. I don't know why there are two selves here. Is that? That better not be in the actual code I wrote earlier. There are two selves. Wow, okay. That was unnecessary. Anyways, so you give it a position. That will be the same position we get here. Particle type, this will be P. If you saw me adding images earlier, you saw that it was P. So we need motion, and this motion will be defined by the angle. So speed will be random by, let's do 100 plus 100, something like that maybe. We can adjust that later. So I do need a random here, so we'll do import random, and then we need an angle. So I'm going to take the angle plus random minus 0.5. So that just adds a little bit of variation to our angle. And we can take math.cosine of the angle by the speed, math.sine of the angle by the speed, and then we also need math. Import math, but that'll give us our velocity. So we need a decay rate. I think this is in terms of dt. I think this is how much time it takes for for it to change one frame. So this will be random by 2 plus 1, and then for custom color, it should be the color of the blood, which is data images sketch. So I can use a couple different colors here, but I'm gonna go with we'll need to see one of these two. I think I'm gonna go with the darker one for now. 162 38 51. 162 38, was it 51? All right, so this is probably going to crash. We will see. It didn't give me the images, did it? Okay. So I do have to get an eyeball to spawn, which means I have to go down. Actually, I'll read chat real quick first. I don't think I've ever said, like, absolutely that you should learn from YouTube. The reasoning behind learning from YouTube is that it's generally easier for beginners because you can see everything that's happening. But in most cases, once you're comfortable with what you're doing, it's better to learn from, like, articles and just written tutorials than using YouTube, because it's just faster. YouTube is good for a lot of people that are beginners, but you don't have to learn from YouTube. How do I navigate code this old? Because it's not that complicated. If you're talking about my old particle code, it's because it's not that complicated. And it's fairly intuitive. I can just look at it and figure it out. Why don't I use Pygame.vector 2? Because I keep forgetting to, and I'm lazy. So the annoyance there is that, and I think I have used it in some places in some of my games. Well, at least some of the ones I'm working on now. It does provide a lot of useful functionality, but the problem is that I'm too lazy to type out the initialization of the vector 2. That's pretty much the main reason. Oh, I didn't put a message on about the stream on Discord. Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, whatever. I feel like it's kind of too late now. Alright. Did I learn touch typing, and do you think it's helpful in coding? So I was supposedly taught touch typing. I'm not sure what exactly is the definition of that. Hold on. I'm gonna just Google it here, and then, so touch typing. Here's Google. Touch typing is a style of typing, although the phrase refers to typing without the use of sight to find keys. Specifically, a touch typist will know the location on their keyboard through muscle memory. The term is often used to refer to a specific form of touch typing that involves placing the 8 fingers in a horizontal row along the middle of the keyboard, and having them reach for specific keys. Under this usage, typists who do not look at the keyboard but do not use home row. What is home row? Either are referred to as hybrid. That doesn't make sense. Wait, what? Either, where's the other option? Either are referred to as typists or what? Am I reading this wrong? Do not use the home row either. Okay. Okay. Depending on how you group this either, you can read that differently. Anyways. So, so if you're going off of the first definition where it's like typing from muscle memory, yeah, I have learned that. I supposedly in high school was taught touch typing, where you use specific fingers for specific keys, but I don't actually do that. I do it completely wrong. I used to type with 2 fingers on each hand. Now I type with 3 fingers for the most part. I don't use my pinky when typing. I just keep it on shift, and then I keep my thumb on space. Yeah, you're supposed to like keep your pinky on A and your left pinky and your right pinky on L. But there's specific, like as it mentions, you're supposed to use specific fingers to press specific buttons, which I don't do. I was supposed to be taught that, but what happened was, for those of you who have seen my most popular video, I've mentioned that I was homeschooled, so the objective there was to get me typing at a specific speed, and the method of doing that was to get me to learn touch typing. So my parents were having me learn touch typing, but the thing is around the time I was doing that, I was learning to program, and I just kind of picked up typing on my own, but using 2 fingers on each hand, and I could type already at like, I think 40 or 50 words per minute at that point, which was acceptable. I think the goal was maybe 30 or 35 words per minute was the goal that my parents had for me. So because I was typing faster than they wanted as a minimum, they were fine with me typing the wrong way. So now I can type much faster. Let's see. Typing test. This one, I don't like the way this looks. I kind of just want to do a bunch of words. Oh, is it monkey type, I think? Alright, how long does this one go? 30 seconds? Let's do 15, I don't want to do too long. So, how do I start? How do I thought I just typed in here. It won't let me type. Is the website click or press any key to focus? Why can't I type? I was pretty sure this is how it worked. I just typed in here and it would let me. Hello? What's this do? Settings? Hello? Nope. What could have happened here? Why doesn't it work? This is so weird. Okay, let's go back to another typing test here. I don't know what, I haven't really used this one. Where's the text? Well, why is it up here? Only bears and great apes walk the same way as we do on our heels. Most other animals walk on either poles of their feet, like dogs and cats, or their tiptoes, like horses and deer. Max Planck was the... And these are some weird words. Why are there hyphens? Okay. That was suboptimal. Because two things, I'm a bit tired right now, and then also, first of all, I was talking when I was doing it at first, and then also the there was the hyphens and the parentheses, and then I actually write better, like just out of my own memory than reading something and copying it. So I can actually write faster if I'm not doing it like this. Is there a shorter one? I can also go fast if I try. Where's... Oh. You can do... They have this. Let's see what that is. Okay, I'm gonna restart that. Where? Can I... Have you ever noticed fishes in a small... Yeah, okay, I'm gonna stop talking. Okay. But yeah, normally what it is I can get around 100 words per minute after I warm up and everything on like easier text. When you get the special punctuation with the parentheses and the hyphens, it throws me off a bit. And then also there's the weird words as well. Like for example, and this is why I write better from memory, or not just my own head, than copying. When names pop up, I kind of have to slow down and make sure I'm reading them right. So like in that first text, this one was not easy text. That one was normal, I think. What was it? There's a name Planck. So I had to slow down and make sure I read it right before I could type it out. But yeah, so I went from, like, the initial goal is, you can see the average here is 36, and that was pretty much what the initial goal from my parents was. So I exceeded that by typing with two fingers, and I got with 2 fingers pretty much. Actually, I mostly still type with 2 fingers. I'll just occasionally use a 3rd finger. I got to maybe 50 or 60 before I started using the 3rd finger a little bit. And that's kind of how I type now. But typing at 100 words per minute is pretty much as fast as you could need to be. So, yeah. That's the story behind my typing experience. When I'm typing from my head, I can hit like 120 words per minute. So it does get a fair amount faster. Alright. You think it's worth writing a wrapper class for Vector 2 just so you can type it easier? That may be correct. You can't learn wet while coding, huh? You need to type at least 40 words per minute if you code. I would disagree with that. Like, if you just think about it, a line of code is probably, on average, I would say 20 characters is a fair assumption. So 20 characters, it's assumed that words in typing, I believe, are like 4 or 5 characters. So that gives you 4 or 5 words in a line. So if you can type 40 words per minute, you can do what, 10 lines in a minute, which, considering that a good day of work in programming is well, in programming, really the line count isn't super important, but oftentimes if you are doing a fair amount of work, the upper end that you'll see is like maybe for a day's work you might see I would say maybe 700 lines or something like that. So if you're typing at 40 words per minute, and I already established that a line is like 4 words, you can do 10 lines in a minute. You can type out 700 lines in 70 minutes. So most of your time at that point is spent solving the problems, not writing the code. So as long as you're not typing at like 5 words per minute, it's not a huge deal. Yeah. There are cases where you might pump out like over 1,000 lines in a day, which I've done in game jams. But even then, it's not a huge difference if you're typing slower. But if you are programming, you will naturally begin to type faster, which is nice. Yeah, you just tried monkey type and it just let you type it and you don't know what happened there. I've used it in the past, so I don't know what happened with monkey type. Oh, come on, I just lost my connection to my server. Thank you, internet connection. CD home, DaFluffyPotato, online game, Python 3 server.py. Oh. Okay. Server should be back up. Now I have to reopen the game because I briefly lost internet, and so it's not that the game can't reconnect. It's an issue of my I'm running the server through a connection on my computer. I'm running it in PowerShell in a direct SSH connection instead of it independently being run on my server. So when that SSH connection closes, it automatically stops the process on the server, which kills the server, so I have to restart it. Alright. How's game deving going? It's going. I wrote a particle system and I haven't tried to see if it's working yet. I'm about to once I catch up with this chat here. Do my fingers get tired since you are using so little? It's more of like a mental strain if I'm trying to go max speed from copying text. I'm not sure what my normal speed is, like when I'm programming. I must be typing maybe 60 to 70 on average, because in programming you have all those special characters. I don't type full speed most of the time when I'm programming, because there's no need to. I can type faster if I want to. It's just mentally straining. Like physically, it's not too bad for my fingers. I think if I did it for long enough periods of time, it would become strenuous. But for like most purposes, it's just mental strain going that fast. Do I use Pep 8? For the most part, yes. Well, you could see in my old code I don't, but in my new code I do. There are some recommendations that I ignore, but I think most of them I follow. Oh, 5 characters is one word? Okay. How fast do I think people should type? Faster is better, but for programming, I think 20 is technically acceptable. And if, as I said, if you program for long enough, you'll get faster, so it's not a huge issue. How's Python performance for an MMO? Well, Python performance doesn't matter for an MMO. Like, an MMO is a game plus networking. Networking isn't that resource intensive, so it works fine. If anything, it's easier than a lot of other languages if you're doing it from the ground up. So yeah, there's that. How do I do the 3D shape? It's just math. I think it's just like sine and cosine and stuff. I think I might have done that shape on stream. I don't know. Could I do a networking tutorial? If you watch early in the stream, I mentioned that I won't do that unless I release an online game first, so you'll have to wait and see. What switches do I use? So I can show you the keyboard I use. I don't know the details. I think they're technically what I don't know, cookie, tactile, or linear. So I use, I don't know what the term is for what I use. So I use chiclet keyboards because I like that you don't have to press the keys very far, and they're generally also pretty quiet for keyboards that you just buy off the that you just buy rather than making yourself. The chiclet keyboards are generally pretty quiet. I have, let me see if I can find it. Let me see. Let me see if I can find this without doxing myself. So I have, where is it? Can I just I found it. Wait, no, I didn't find it. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Wait, no, that's not mine. This one? This one might be it. This is close enough. So I use a keyboard that looks like this. There's other ones in here that... This one looks pretty close to mine, actually. This is the exact layout I have, but it's a different company that has, I guess, the same form. I have the slightly circular buttons and everything. I don't know what happened there. Alright. What am I doing? We're talking about keyboards right now and typing. That's what's happening. I'm about to get back to programming, though. Low profile? Okay. So, clicky... What is clicky? I don't... Yeah, I don't know those terms. Where can you find documentation for Pygame hardware acceleration? I don't think it's released yet. At least last time I checked, it wasn't there. So you might be able to do, if you like get Pygame 2, if you know the name of the modules and stuff that, or like the sub modules that are used for that, you might be able to do like help on the functions and stuff to see how they work. But I don't think there's a ton of information about it. There are examples though, I think, and if you go to, like, I think there are some things in the Pygame examples for doing that. Alright. How do you make a Python game for the phone? You just, I don't know exactly how, you have to Google it. It can be done with Pygame though. There are a few people who have done it. It's not very common to do. The more popular way to use Python to make apps is to use Kivy, but you can do it with Pygame if you want. I just do not care at all, so. I'm gonna keep going down until I find something I can shoot here. And then I'm probably gonna crash. Oh. Oh, there it is, look. So... The particles were there, that's good. So upon further inspection, I'm thinking the... Yo! I got a rare drop. I got the floating pearl. It's been in the game for a bit, it hasn't dropped for me yet. I think this pearl will later on let you jump an extra time. So, that's fun. Anyways, I need to figure out what happened with the color key. Something happened with the color key there. So particles. Why is YouTube trying to tell me to put in ads? I don't want to. So it has E color key. So image. It should have set the color key. I'm going to particles P. What happened here? That's 0, 0, 0. Why wouldn't that work? I didn't mean to do that. So. This should have set the color key. That's strange. Let me just set color key, color key. So instead of doing this, let me see. So I'm gonna remove this. Just in case something else is messing with this, because this is old code, it might show up other places and maybe get redefined somewhere. Actually, no, it shouldn't, because of the way the importations are done. I don't know what could have happened there. I'm trying to think of what might have happened. Oh, I think I know what happened. It's in the swap color. I think the way I swap colors just removes the color key. So what I need to do, we're under particle draw, and draw. It does swap color on this. Does swap color have? It probably has. Yeah, it makes a new one, but it doesn't have the color key. Sure, does set color key. And we said do color key. That should fix that issue. And then the other thing I was noticing is that I actually probably want the particles to be behind the entities. So I'm gonna go over to world here. I'm gonna grab particles, and then I'm gonna put them behind the entities here. And then from there, over in the living entity, I want to spawn multiple particles. So for in range, let's see, random.randint, let's say 5 to 7. We want that many particles to spawn. And then we can go and test this. Alright. Can I show the inventory code? I can show you the inventory, but I don't, if you want to see the inventory code, just look at the 2 streams ago, I think, is when I did that. Maybe 1 stream ago. I forgot which one it was. I did it pretty recently. I think I was working on the inventory in both of those streams, but I think mainly 2 streams ago. So, just look at my previous streams. There's, that stuff is there. Oh, it's here. Look at that. Look at all those particles. So I think the particles need to decelerate. That definitely needs to happen. A couple other things I should probably do too. Let me see. Okay. I'm just curious what level my gun was at here. So I'll wait here for something else to spawn. What library do I use for server client communication? I just use sockets and I wrote the rest myself. You're pretty sure that if I don't place ads on my videos, YouTube does it automatically without paying you? What? No. That is not true. But also for live streams, also I'm pretty sure that's not true. Yeah. Or like at least so there's the like unpartnered channels. I think those might get ads and they don't get paid. But if you are partnered, you can have ads and like you can specify which types of ads you want. So for example, for a while I didn't have a certain type of ad on my videos, so it just like I know for a fact that I just didn't have those types of ads on my videos and they never popped up there. But now I have all ads enabled. I got another floating pearl, that's funny. Anyways, the particles are working the way I want them to, for the most part. The next thing I want to do with particles is to make them come out on death. So actually, I did want them to decay faster, maybe. So instead of 0.1, let's do, and I'm going to add a 3 there. Instead of 0.1, we'll do 0.05. Wait, is this decay rate the rate at like how long it takes for it to decay? Or how much decay there is, like, per second. Okay, so, gotta fix that. So it was decay per second, which means I want it to be like 2.0 or something, something like that. So I'm gonna have to check and make sure that's working properly. And then I'll go ahead and add the other protocol use case, which is on entities on death. How do you do collision? Because creating dx dy is very buggy. I don't know what you're talking about, dx and dy. So look at, I have 2 tutorials, actually 3 technically, about like tile physics. Okay, so that blood's working the way I want it to. So I want to restrict the angle actually a little bit. So by 0.5, and then we do that, and then let's increase the decay rate, decrease the speed, say 50. So yeah, I have tutorials about how you do tile physics. It's not that complicated, so just go ahead and watch those if you're stuck on that. This is awesome. You've also been working on multiple multiplayer games, but you're restarting it right now to make more like an MMO. MMOs are very difficult to make. It takes a lot of work. Like, I'm hesitant to, like, I'm sort of hesitant to call this an MMO, because like the mostly, like, I don't expect to see more than like 100 players. So structurally it's designed so that I could expand it to be like an MMO, but it would take a fair amount of work. Right now the goal is to support maybe 100 concurrent players, but of course I probably won't even hit that to begin with. So yeah, but in general, just making an MMO is a lot of work. Most people don't finish it. Okay, this works the way I want it now. Cool. So now I need to add the particles on death. So what I can do is actually just take this delete code right here, and then take this code, do a little bit of copy pasting, and I'll take 20 to 30, and then same speed, but the angle will be random.random by math.pi by 2, and then that will be that. So if I start the game, kill something, you should see a big explosion of particles when they die. But this visual feedback when shooting things is important. Oh, speaking of which, I do need to check and make sure the particles look right when I pull up another game. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up another instance here. Oh, hold on, this will just spawn. I'm gonna kill it. So I don't know if I saw the explosion I wanted to see there. I'll have to wait and see. So something else spawned, and I can't see. I have to wait for it to come up. This is slightly annoying. Alright, so let's... I didn't see the explosion. So let's just slowly chip away at it. So I did not see the big explosion at the end, so that's not quite working right yet. So presumably this delete is not being called. So I have to see what's being done to delete these things. For that, I believe it's in the networking code under client API, and then if I go to updates, there should be a kill thing, or delete, damage, kill. Here we go. Here it is, right here. So I can just hook it onto here, realistically. So I'm just gonna copy that. I will need math random and a couple other things, but import, actually normally I'd put time first, and then I do import math, import random. Alright, so right here we'll do right here. No, I think it maybe before. So we do the loop, we get our angle, we get our speed, we have rt.node world, and then this position is the only thing I gotta fill out. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this entity, and I think it's like location or something funky like that. Let me see how this works. So entities, it's data, loc. So this does need to be moved one line down. So this entity thing needs to be before it. But then I think that should work. If this works, I'll start up the other client and see if the stuff is networked properly. It should work fine because of the way the projectiles and enemies are synced. It should be 1-to-1, so that both clients should be able to reproduce the same visual result. Alright, I think it just dropped down here. Once I can see the arrow, normally I'm close enough for things to spawn, I think. Yeah. So this one's gonna be, I gotta wait a bit for it to expose itself. So I kill it and it crashes. Cool. Eyeball is not is scriptable. Oh. So it actually got the entity object. So for this, I do entity dot. Well, I gotta go over to the entity code to see what it was. Right here, it's top position. And then I'll take the tuple of it, which is effectively a copy, so I don't accidentally modify it for some reason. So I go this way. Oh, here's one. Okay, that's the explosion I wanted. There we go. So they explode on death now. That's good. So I need to open up another client. I'm a little bit lost right now. Wait, is this? Okay, I know this spot with 4 trees. So I'm gonna open up my thing here. I'm gonna switch the user ID. And then I will pull it up. So that should start the second instance here. So I'm gonna have to keep this account alive while the other one loads in. So I do have 2 here. You can't see the second one because of the... I just got like 2 windows here. Oh. No, they're in the walls. Okay, this is they're spawning extra ones because... Oh my goodness. I think this is hold on, I'll try to... Okay, I'm just gonna drop down here. Go further down, maybe it'll be a little bit... No, it's not safer. Okay, I'm gonna straight up just end up dying on this one. So what I need is to get both accounts on the edge. I've almost made it actually. Here we go. So here's okay, I didn't get to see if that was networked properly. Hold up. I need to get my alignment right here. I do not see the particles. I'm not sure. Huh. I thought that they independently collided. Whatever. I won't fix it. I thought it would work. I won't bother with doing it with it for now. I'll sort it out later and figure out what happened there. I think theoretically, like, I thought I didn't delete that projectile. I don't know. There's a few different things could be happening. But yeah, I'll have to figure it out later. I'm not going to do that in this stream. So anyways, the particle part is done. So we just need to do the sparks part. Sparks are going to be similar to particles. So they function similarly. It's just visually it's something differently. Well, it visually it's something different. I'm going to take everything. Oh, the enemy spawns. That one's going to be... It's like this. Literally just copy, look for the spawn. I think this one's gonna be pretty much the same. When do I think I'll release my next game? I have no idea. And I don't know if it'll be free or paid. It depends. The next game, like the next game release, if it's a big game, it'll be paid. If it's a game jam game, it'll be free. That's pretty much how it works. I'm on the wrong account. This one doesn't have the fun gun. This account has the fun gun. You gonna head out? Alright, see ya. Do I make games for fun or because you think that maybe it'll be a good job? Both. But I started because it was for fun. When the new Python will be released, what? Will you use it for my games? You mean Python 3.11? I'm not using that for my games at the moment. So supposedly it is faster, but I don't want to use it at the moment because most libraries aren't updated for it yet. Hold on. I need to be looking at the screen when the enemies spawn, because the whole point is that I see the particles. I don't need to kill them right now, I just need to see them spawn. Where are they? But yeah, unfortunately I can't read chat while I do this one actually, because I gotta wait for the enemies to spawn here. Oh, I saw it. Okay. The spawn worked, so I saw a bunch of stuff. Oh, that should not be happening with that should only be happening with enemies. So the kill is being used to delete items. I do need to check and make sure this is like an enemy type entity. I think I did have ways to do that. So where's eyeball? So there's an is enemy thing. Did I have it over here? So I just check is enemy. And then do I have a self.isPlayer equals true? And that needs to go over here too. And then in entity, I need this equals false, and I can check if it's a player or an enemy, and then if that's the case, then I do this. So if entity dot is player or entity dot is enemy, then I do this. Now that should be everything. So I did the spawn particles. So that just leaves the sparks. So the projectile to wall, projectile to entity, and then the projectile firing. Those are all going to be kind of smaller sparks, I think, though. You're 5 months into Python and you don't understand how I'm referencing other Python modules with rt.nodes. Is that another helper module package from Python? I can actually show you how that works. Oh, it's raining. That's interesting. So if I go over to reference tree, so this is what it is. This is so this is what a bunch of my stuff is inheriting from. It's just a node, so it has a reference to RT, which is the tree itself. So the tree is defined down here. So we have this big tree of nodes, and we create it down here, and then this tree contains a bunch of individual nodes in the node map, but there's also a root node which has children, so you can access nodes relatively. If you look up here, you can see my overall tree for the game. So we have game, window, input, mouse, assets, and you can see the overall structure. So you can see that mouse is a child of input. We have like chat as a child of user interface, or particles as a child of world. There is a tree shape to it. What? Adam, hello? Anyways, a node is a reference node, which this is what a lot of my stuff is inheriting from. If I inherit from it and then call the parent initialization function, which is this, I can it does a bunch of stuff. Like, so it keeps track of its parent, it has its own children, it has a name defined by the class name, and then this class name is actually the name of the parent class, so that's where all the names come from when I'm accessing things with the strings. And then that ND just returns a node by name from here. So it just register node thing and register child are used to kind of keep track of, just set them up in this reference tree so that they can be found from anywhere. So anywhere that has access to this reference tree can access anything, and that's what this RT variable is. So I can import RT, or I can import this and then use the .nd function on the node itself if I've inherited from ref node to access other nodes. So that's what I've been doing. This is kind of, I got this idea from working in Godot. So Godot has a node system that's like a tree, and then but you can access nodes absolutely by name, relatively. So just a lot of game development is done with systems where you can access anything kind of from anywhere. People that are fans of object-oriented programming normally don't like this stuff. They think it's bad coding practice, but it's kind of how people generally make games nowadays, I think. Object-oriented programming is supposed to be a bit more, I guess, structured, and you're not supposed to just access everything from everything. It's a little bit different than normal object-oriented programming. That's not what RT.nodes does not mean folder and modules. That's not what it is. Is this a different character / sprite than the last stream? No. Have I done a tutorial on camera systems? Yes. That's one of the very first tutorials I did. Can you make Python style or optimize your code? No, you can't. Now, if you if you want your code to run faster, and this is if you're not using Pygame, you can compile your Python instead of including an interpreter with like PyPy or something, and that'll be faster. And I think, I don't know if that gives you an executable or what, but I don't think you can use, like, I'm pretty sure it would give you an executable or something. You mean optimize it without changing your variables static? What? I'm not sure what you're saying there. There are, I think there's, oh no, never mind, I was making stuff up. I was just thinking of, PyPy again. Anyways, I'm gonna use the restroom real quick before I, get to work on the sparks, and then after I do the sparks, I'll probably end the stream and get ready for the playtest. Alright, I'm back. I'm gonna have to give my avatar a little bit of time to catch up, though. I'll check on the chat in the meantime, though. Do I have any tips for staying motivated? Not really, because... So, motivation is... For the most part, it comes and goes. If you're relying purely on motivation to get work done, then you're not going to get a whole lot done. So like right now, I'm not particularly motivated to do this stream, but I'm doing it anyway because I said I would do it. You have to have some discipline to be able to get a lot of stuff done. So motivation, like natural motivation, isn't like all that matters. It's nice to have natural motivation, and you can do things to improve that a little bit. And that's mainly just work on things that interest you. And then also, I would say work on smaller projects. It's easier to keep motivation on smaller projects, at least in my case, where you're closer to being able to reach an end goal. So actually, a project like this is one of the hardest ones to work on. The actual motivation that I get for these types of projects, like this project specifically, is that it's multiplayer, and I haven't made a multiplayer game before. Well, I mean, I've kind of made multiplayer games. I haven't released a multiplayer game before. Anyways, my avatar should be caught up now. Maybe we'll see. Nope, it's not caught up yet. I'll wait and see what happens there. All right. So I do have to add sparks. Sparks are pretty simple. You just take an angle, and then you project points out in 4 directions using trigonometry, and then you draw a polygon. And then usually you mathematically like change the dimensions of that spark over time. So for that, I will just create a sparks file. Sparks.py class spark. Def init self, and use a position, an angle. I'll say color equals 255, not just white, and then so we have an angle. I guess we need a speed, and then we need size. So there's the ratio of the width to the length, which is not super important right now, so I'm gonna have a default for that. So I'll just have a scale thing. This scale will be kind of multiplied by the speed. So as the speed reduces, the scale reduces, and then with the sparks, once the speed hits 0, it's gone. That's how I normally do it. So self.position equals position, self.angle equals angle, and we just go down the list here. And then def not strict y tab 9, hello. I'm going to grab the RT thing. So from data misc ref tree import RT. So this gives me access to the rest of the game. On update here, I can do the position update, which will be based on DT, which I have to get from rt.node window. So the DT comes from the window .dt. Self.position 0 plus equals math.cosine of self.angle by dt by self.speed by dt. And then we do the same thing for the y-axis. We do need math to be able to do this. The speed also decays. Oh, that's something else I need here. So speed, scale, and then we need decay. So self.decay equals decay. And then we do self.speed minus equal self.decay by dt. And then if self.speed is less than 0, or self, here's how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna cap it. Well, I'm gonna put a minimum at 0. So we do max 0 self.speed minus the decay. That way I can't go below 0. If self.speed is 0, I'll do less than or equal to just in case I change this later. Then it's gone. So return false, that means it's no longer alive. And then, so the speed gets reduced. What else needs to happen here? I think that's all I need on this end. So now let's go ahead and write a render function for the spark. So display equals rt.node. No, that's not correct. Window.display. It will need. Actually, I'm going to take a display argument, and I'll also take a scroll argument. So the scroll is the camera offset. So we need to create our polygon. So our initial polygon will be polygon points equals we have 4 points. We get the first one, which is forward. So we'll do math.cosine of self.angle by, and the way I do this is self.speed by self.scale. And then we take the sine of the angle to get the y-axis. And then we need to do this 4 times for each of the points, but the angle changes each time. So the way I do this is normally this point and this point are going to be closer to the middle. So I'm going to multiply these numbers by 0.2 so that it makes the spark longer than it is wide. Otherwise you just get a diamond shape. So I'm going to do that. Actually, I'm going to put this in as a constant. So self.width ratio equals 0. Let's say 1.5 actually. So we can go over here and say self.width ratio. And then from here, we have our, well, these are all going to kind of go the same direction, which we want to change now. So we have to change the angle to get our points in different positions. So we can do plus math.pi over 2, or this is faster actually, if you multiply by 0.5. And that rotates 90 degrees. And then over on this one, we want it to go in the opposite direction. So we go minus math.pi. And then for this, we do plus math.pi, and that will put us pointing the opposite direction. Now with all of that, that should generate our points. Now we need to offset our points based on position and the scroll. So render points equals let's say P0, P1, 4P in polygon points. But we want to add plus self.position 0 minus scroll 0, and then we do the same thing for the y-axis. Minus scroll 1. I'll go ahead and turn my avatar back on now. It should definitely be caught up. I forgot about it for a while. Alright. Alright, okay, so we have our render points here. With these, we can render a polygon. So pygame.draw.polygon. I forgot the arguments. I always do forget the arguments for the like all of the drawing functions for Pygame. I always forget the order of the arguments, even after using Pygame for almost 10 years. So I'm gonna have to quickly double check that. It's pygame.org/docs. Draw polygon. So it's surface color points. So over in, where'd my sparks go? Here. So draw polygon, we take the display, we do our render points, and then we do a color, which is self.color. I thought there was a width thing as well. I think it defaults to fill, which is what I need. And then I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need for the render. I don't think so. So next, now that I have that, I need a Spark manager. So class sparks def in itself, self.sparks equals an empty list, def add spark self, and then we just want to take all of these arguments here, and then we do s equals spark, and then we just dump that in, and instead of doing that we do color equals color, self.sparks.append s, def update self for spark in self.sparks, but we were going to want to do the list enumerate on it, and then we take I spark spark dot update, and then we do alive equals that, if not alive self.sparks.pop I. Alright, thank you for the super chat, Robert Stan. I don't know what currency RON is. I'm gonna look that up. RON currency. Romanian blue. So interesting. I have not heard of that currency before, but now I know. Interesting. I'm gonna catch up on chat real quick. How do you modify Atom like this? You just there's packages for it. The main things I did, I just changed the theme and I used the script package to run Python code. So it's not that many changes, and you really don't need to do the theme changes. The only recommendation I have if you're working with Python is that you install the script package so you can run your code in Atom. So I don't like how in C++ you have to use the self keyword. So how in C++ you don't have to use the self keyword. I find it kind of ambiguous because you can have that situation where you have like a parameter that's named something, and then you have your member variable that's named the same thing, and then it gets confusing as to what you're referring to sometimes. So I like the clarity of having self. Like just in general, if you're following, and I can say this because I've had not one but now 2 jobs working with C++. If you're working with Python and you're following the PEP 8 guidelines for how you style your code is significantly more readable than C++. With C++, you have, like, you include header files and you get all these functions and stuff from everywhere. When you include, you don't know what functions you got. And if you use a function, you can't really know where it came from unless you're using an IDE where you like right click it and then you click something to see where it came from. And then if you're working with like member variables for your classes and stuff, you don't know if that variable is a member variable. There is kind of a standard in C++, I don't know if it's a standard, but I've seen it a lot where people will name their member variables like M and then the name of the variable, which helps. But there's nothing in the syntax that clarifies that. So in Python, you have self to know when you're talking about the attribute of a class. And if you're following PEP 8, okay, so Python has the star thing where you can import everything. You import like all the functions and everything that's in there, and that works sort of like a normal C++ include. But if you're following PEP 8, you don't ever use the star really, and you always know where your stuff comes from. It'll either be specified up at the top here, where you say that the thing you imported, or if I, for example, did this, it would come up under this ref tree, so you would see in the code where things are coming from, regardless. So it's just a lot clearer the way that objects work, and just using things from other files works. It's so much clearer in Python. So that's one of the big reasons I like Python. Am I good at DSA? And if yes, then how did I get you good at it? So I learned, this is one of the few things I kind of learned at university. So I learned data structures and algorithms at my university. You don't really need it for most programming stuff, and the stuff, like the parts of data structures and algorithms that were actually relevant for most programming tasks, I had already learned. But the more random stuff that you would see in like programming competitions or interview questions, I did learn that at my university. You can learn it on your own. There are tutorials out there, and I'm working on a series myself where I'm pretty much just taking everything I learned from university and dumping it into tutorials. So it's not hard to learn. Like seriously, like once I finish my tutorial series on my channel, that will be a pretty good way to learn it, I think. But I wouldn't say I'm great at data structures and algorithms. I'm probably above average. I mean, I had an easy time in those classes. I got A's in both of them, where like both of those classes that were on that topic. Yeah, but I don't use it for anything, so I'm not one of those people that sits there and does leak code problems all day. Those people are the people that are generally better at data structures and algorithms. Right. You think it doesn't matter too much? You do understand the purpose of self and this keywords. So, I mean, C++ has this, right? Pretty sure C++ has this, unless I'm mixing it up with stuff. Yeah, C++ does have this, but a lot of times people don't use it though, which is a little bit annoying. Yeah, Python, like, as you say, Python is a lot easier with importing in packages. It's just the way that you syntactically use imported like modules and stuff is just so much cleaner, and the importations themselves make a lot more sense. So the way it works with C++ normally is you add a bunch of folders to your include path for compile time, and then you include files based on name more so than path. So you'll include a file, and then you have to go and search for where it came from, whereas like you don't know what folder it came from really, because it could have been any of your folders that were included in your project. Whereas in Python, you can see it comes from data, scripts, miscellaneous, and then it's from this ref tree file. So it's very clear. You don't understand competitive programming and data structures and algorithms too much yourself. Maybe for corporate software it makes sense, but for you, you'd rather focus on an interesting project rather than trying to be the smartest. That's how I am too. So it doesn't matter for those corporate jobs outside of the interviews in most cases. And because people started memorizing the problems and first, companies were doing it kind of as a way to test your problem-solving skills, because there are those problems use a lot of problem-solving skills, but there are lots of people that have just memorized a lot of those questions, and it's I've heard that some of the companies have been beginning to shift away from those types of interview questions because it's not very accurate in finding the best programmers nowadays. It does work to some extent. So what it does tell you is that usually if the people that can do that well are people that taught it to themselves, kind of, because a lot of universities don't go too in depth in it. Well, even if your university does teach you it, since you're not using it when you're programming, you're gonna forget about it. So it shows that person put in some effort to maintain that knowledge. I mean, just being able to do it in the first place shows some level of competency. So, like, there's a few different things it does, but there are the downsides, as I mentioned, there are lots of people that are just memorizing all the problems, spending all their time doing leak code instead of actually working on normal programming projects, and then you end up hiring people that aren't actually the best for the job. So, yeah. It's interesting. So some companies are late to the party and still haven't adopted that technique of interviewing, but a lot of companies have adopted that technique, and but now some of the big tech companies are starting to shift away from that technique. So it's interesting. So you see both ends. The very kind of behind companies and the very ahead companies are both not doing it, but the ones that are in the middle are doing those interview questions. But I think it's just a very small amount of companies, like in the big tech stuff, would deciding to stop doing that. It's not like the majority right now, so you still need to know that stuff. How do you live without semicolons? What? At the end of a line is the end of a line. I don't see why you would need semicolons. Well, I mean, like, I know syntactically why it's essential in those languages. It's because the end of a statement is not the end of a line. It's just a simplification of the way we write our code anyways. Since your code should be pretty much using semicolons at the end of a statement where the statement is one line, why not just make your statement a line itself so that you don't need to write the semicolon? I mean, it just kind of makes sense that way. The indentation in Python is the same way. It's like, we already indent our code, so take out the curly braces and enforce that, and then with that you can save some characters. You don't have to type the curly braces. You get the enforcement of your indentation, so it's clear what's happening with that, and like less lines vertically, or sort of. It depends on how you write your code, but for the most part, yeah, it's less lines, saves space. It's just overall nice. So yeah, you in C++, you say that you can see what data types the variables are. So that is useful when you're using other people's code. For me, when I'm working with my own code, I generally know what data type something is just by looking at the variable name. Like I will say that when you're working with other people, yeah, it is useful to have that in a lot of cases. The thing is, with Python, if you want that, it's called statically typed or variables. If you want that, you can use, what is it, MyPy, and you can, well, so Python by default, you can have type hinting. So I think it's like, is it right here? So like you can, I think it's like that. I can't remember if it goes before or after the colon. I think it's before. But you can specify types when using Python. Python syntax supports type hinting, so you can say your types, and then there's a project called MyPy you can use to enforce the typing, so it'll give you errors if your typing is invalid. So if you like that, you can add it to Python very easily. How do you create an area of effect glow or a spark? Well, I'm doing sparks right now. The glow, I have a video on. There's, just look at my channel for the lighting video. There's a video about that. Anyways, back to this. So I need to create my sparks, and then update. I need a render function. Def render self. So it needs to get the display. So do display equals self dot. Oh, this needs to be a ref node. So sparks will be ref node. When we do self.nd and we take the window.display and then scroll equals self.nd world.scroll, I think it was. Yeah, it's dot scroll. And then from here we do for spark in self.sparks spark.render, and we take just the display and the scroll, and then that will render our spark for us. Alright, so from here we can do we go over to the world, and we have to import our sparks here. So we'll go world, we'll go here, we'll go from data scripts.vfx dot sparks import sparks, and then we do self.sparks equals sparks self.register child sparks, and then we can do self.sparks.update, and then over in the render for the sparks, I'm thinking the sparks should be above the entities, so I'm gonna put them here, self.sparks.render. And then I just need to be able to add the sparks. So for that, we just use this. And then I go over to where I want the sparks, which the first easy one is the projectile firing. So this comes from, based on projectile owner when spawned. Okay. So there's two ways that this can happen. First, there's actually wait, does it in my projectile, does it keep track of the owner here? Does it have an owner? Self.speed, what's it? It comes from projectile. It doesn't know, it has the owner weapon. It doesn't have the owner entity. Ugh. That's a little bit annoying. I don't remember. Did I even say? I don't know if I say who the owner is. Type, time, damage, world, weapon ID. Okay. The actual owner is not known. Interesting. So there's a couple ways I can do this. I think for the time being, what I'll do is just on the projectile spawn, I'll do it. So this is a sloppy implementation for now. In the future, I'll probably just track the actual owner. But for the time being, I can do self.nd sparks and then add spark from here, and then take the the tuple of self.position And then, actually, depending on how I did this, spark, I should be a list. List. So the angle, it should be the angle of, it should be self.rot. Self.rot plus random.random minus 0.5. For speed, that should be self.speed actually. Wait, why is it the default? Oh boy. So, the speed gets defined over here. I'm gonna add a function. Def finish init self. So, for scale, I could just give a value here. We can do like 20. For decay, this is how much of the speed drops off per second, and I'll say 100 or something. And then for the color, that I'll keep the default, so delete that. And then I'm gonna do for I in range, random.random 3 to 4. And then this function needs to be called when these things are finished initializing, so self.finishInit, and that will spawn our stuff. So actually what I'm gonna do for the speed decay, I'm gonna actually just set it to self.speed. Wait, hold on, that's not it. That's the scale, I think, right? So the 100 is the decay, so self.speed. So that should make it last for 1 second, I think. We shall see. Crashed. Oh, I didn't do the super.init. Super.init. There we go. Let's see if I get my sparks here. Okay. Projectiles. So instead of doing that, it's rt.node. Forgot. Just keep running, going through the errors, I guess. That's how this goes. Invalid color argument. Huh? How is that invalid? Did I get the stuff wrong? Did I do it the wrong order? I think I did. So sparks. Yep, this is backwards. Alright. What? That is not what I was expecting. That's funny. Why? I don't know how this bug happens. That's hilarious. I shoot and the game just converts into the... That doesn't... How? I'm trying to think of how that happens. So, all these lights, this is the lighting for the game. It's showing me the lighting surface. I don't know how that's... What? I'm so confused. Oh, I know. So you see this shape here? There's a distinct shape. There's a distinct shape here. I see what's happening. So this is a funky thing that's happened here. So the way the lighting works is it's a multiplication of whatever's on screen. So the light zones, it's like perfect white. So if you look at this is the lighting thing. The light's perfectly white. So since it's a multiplication, if the screen just turns completely white, what you will see, because you're multiplying, is just the surface used for lighting. So what's happening is that the screen's turning completely white, and I'm pretty sure the reason why is because my spark is way too big. It's covering the entire screen. So, I think I know what happened here. You know this part where I multiplied by the speed? That's a bad idea. So the speed is a very large number because I'm using DT here. So the speed is in pixels per second. So it's in the hundreds. That creates a very big polygon, so I need to shrink that down. So I'm gonna take self dot. Actually, no, I can just fix it with the scale. So I go over to where did I put it? I already forgot. So I'm just shooting. It says projectiles. So for the scale, this needs to be shrunk down. So we take 0.01, I think. Or 0.1? Maybe? That should be 10 to 25 pixels, so I'll say 0.07. Hopefully it doesn't crash now. Well, actually, no, it didn't crash before, but hopefully it works now. As intended. Okay, my sparks are going in the wrong direction. But, you can see they're there. Now, the question is, why are they, I don't, So, I'm trying to figure out what's exactly happening here. So it goes in two directions, which means I probably got my math wrong in here. So if I look at my sparks, yep, here's the problem. That should not be cosine, that should be sine. And I'm gonna check over here. This looks good, I think. Wait, no, yeah. Hopefully this works now. And then what I will have to do is I'll add a glow to the sparks, because the sparks should illuminate the area. So now, if you notice, all these sparks are the same kind of scale, and I don't want that. So I'm gonna go over to my projectiles here, and then I'm gonna make the speed and scale kind of random. Plus, or by random, dot random, by 0.5 plus 0.5, and then we'll take this by random dot random plus 1, and then I'll just shrink this number down to like 0.35, and actually they're already big to begin with, so I'll do that. Now let's see what happens here. That's what I was looking for. If I go to this funny gun, there's a lot of fun stuff. Alright, so let's open up another client here. And do I have it over here? It's gotta be one of these things. This one? This one. If I open up this other client, I can see another player shooting here. So let's see how the netcode works. So it looks fine here. Actually, it works surprisingly well. Oh, you know why? It's because I forgot. For projectiles, they're defined by the starting position in this game, not their current position, because of the netcode. So taking the position takes their spawn location. So regardless of the ping, even I just take the position the projectile has associated with it, and that is the spawn location of the projectile, and I can spawn a bunch of sparks there. Yeah, that works out pretty well. I'm gonna go ahead and add the glow now. So this is gonna be interesting because I forgot how this works again. I think somewhere in here there's something that does the glowing. Or lighting that apply. Here we go, lighting that light. So this is what I need. Over in the sparks, they need to glow. And the way I can do this, I can calculate the length. So def, I'm gonna do at property def length self. I'm gonna just drop this here to clear my clipboard. Whenever I have something in my clipboard, it's like a pressure weighing on my mind. It annoys me. So all I have to do is we take the speed times the scale, and that's the length divided by 2. So we return that. Now the question is the lighting done by radius or by diameter? I've forgotten. So the lighting, I can go over to, I think, the VFX stuff. It should be in here, maybe. No, it's not. Why is the lighting in world instead of VFX? That's funny. Lighting layer, light, radius. Okay, it's done by radius. So, I'm actually gonna, even though it's lying to say that this is the length, since this is half the length, this is what I need. Actually, no, I'm gonna multiply it by 2 because I want it to extend past the spark itself. Alright, so in the render, I'll go ahead and do the lighting. So for this, we do rt.node world.lighting.light, and then this is gonna be, you have to apply the scroll here, so that'll be the it'll be this number here, and then we take this number, and then that's the color. This cycle timer, I don't need this. So this is the radius here. So for this, we can do self.length. And then I think that's it. But I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't work for some reason. So we're about to find out. Actually, hold on, I'm on the wrong account. Let me just switch this back to the nice account with the nice gun. Oh. Alright. So, our sparks are creating light now. So our sparks should not be in the dark. That's cool. I think they should probably decay a little bit faster for this case. So I'm going to take speed by 2. That means that it should decay in half a second. I'm almost done with the VFX I wanted to do today. Alright, so they're decaying the way I want them to now. If I'm looking at this gun, that looks nice. Alright. So now, there's a couple of other things that need sparks added to them. So I did the projectile firing. This should theoretically happen, I think. I need to see if this happens with enemies. So I gotta start the game up and go see if an enemy's, like, wait for an enemy to spawn with the eyeball, watch it spawn its projectiles. But theoretically, those projectiles from the eyeball should have the sparks coming from them. So we'll see here. Oh, there it is. Okay, that's funny. So they're spawning when the sparks are appearing at a bad time here. Here, I'm gonna do a speed multiplier, and then I'm going to take equals 1. And I'm actually going to take that number, and then by that, and then over on the player's projectiles, I'll multiply that bit too. Or actually, no, I'm gonna call that the decay multiplier. Wait, no, hold on. No, I'm doing it wrong. So I'm gonna keep the 2 here, because that's decay. And I'm actually gonna multiply the speed by this, so. So I'm gonna default to 2 actually. And then over here, I think this is the player stuff. Speed multiplier equals 1. And then on the enemy stuff, it'll come out faster. So, I'm gonna do something interesting here. Self.appeared equals false. And then I'm gonna go over to here. This is if it's visible technically. So if not self.appeared, self.appeared equals true, and then we can spawn the particles. So that should fix that thing where it was spawning once I got the information from the server instead of when the projectiles actually spawned. I'll read chat once I check this. Look at the way the sparks follow me. That's funny. Alright. So we gotta find ourselves an eyeball. I think they spawn here, but the further down I go, the more likely they are to spawn. So I just keep going down until they spawn. Oh, I saw one. I can't reach it. I did see the sparks though. What can I, oh, hello. Hello. Look at all those sparks. Look at that. That looks nice. I like that. So, the visual effects are improved. Okay, so there's a couple more things that need sparks. So, when you shoot an entity, and when the projectile hits a wall. So those are both done client side. So I can go over to here, just grab this code here, and then I go over into the update here, I believe, update, and look for the collisions. This is the player collisions. Where are the entity collisions? Wait. Are the entities... I thought the entity collisions were client side. Where... Is that all server side? Well, for these... I can put the case in here. So for I in range... random.randint 5 to 7, we'll give that, and then That works. Wait, so for the speed multiplier, I'm gonna give, like, leave it as is. Huh. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of a hack here. I'm thinking the same stuff. No. I was thinking about reusing the same code from earlier, like just calling that function again, but I'm deciding that's probably not the best idea. Speed, random, okay. So if it hits that, I'm gonna go with 2, because it's hitting a player, that means it's an enemy projectile. The rest should be fine. Alright. So the other thing here is when they get killed by the server, I think. So, I mean, if the entity collisions aren't here aside from the player, then the only other spot they can be, if it's not coming from the server, would be in the, like, entity code. So it could be in here. Or here. So specifically, I would expect to see it here. Or... I mean, it could be here. I doubt it, though. Nope. Let's go with eyeball. And then... that doesn't check for them. Remote entity. Wait, now that I think about it, the server definitely does not calculate projectile collisions for you. The player tells the server that it shot something. Oh, you know why? This is because this is an enemy projectile. I'm stupid. Over in the default projectile, we've got this code. And then we can do this. We take off the ×2. And then from here, we can take this and then apply it for if it hits a wall, which is down here. So if it hits a wall, it should be less sparks. Still a lot of the same stuff is applicable though. Although I will invert the direction. I'm gonna make the sparks bounce away from the wall instead of into it. I think that should be everything. That should work, maybe. We'll see. Alright, that works. I'm gonna read chat real quick. Actually, hold on. Just testing things for fun. So you can see all the sparks coming out, which is cool. Alright, I'm gonna read chat. You're wondering if C# and JavaScript are the best for 2D games because of how one has cross-platform game libraries and the other runs in web, so runs everything. I'm gonna make a video about that. That's very soon. That's the one I'm gonna put out instead of the Python tutorial because the Python tutorial is taking longer than anticipated. It'll be a bit before you see that video though. I'm thinking early next week is my goal. So Python is fairly cross-platform. then, I mean, you'll hear. So my main argument for why Python is good for game development is more syntactically, but like the argument for things running on the web is not super important for game development, because if you think about it, most of the games that people play, like most of the bigger games people play, are not on their web browsers. So maybe JavaScript is more applicable for just kind of those web games, but for normal game development, it's not necessarily that applicable. So C#, there are reasons for using it, and that's kind of hard to explain. I was actually researching that last night. You'll see it come up in the video really soon, so it's an interesting subject. Have I tried Pybag for Pygame games available in browser? I have not heard of that. I know there's like some sort of project for making Pygame games run into the web browser, and they were using, like, they were in contact with me and they were using my games kind of to demo it. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? What email is it on? I'm trying to find it. I know I keep getting like mentioned on GitHub. Wait, hold on. I might be able to Google this. Pygame WebAssembly Aeroblaster GitHub. Maybe I search my name instead of Aeroblaster. Where is this thing? So there's Pygame. Well, I do see it's Pygame or Pybag. I do see that. I'm trying to find. This isn't the one, is it? Wait, I do recognize that name. Is there like a notifications history on GitHub? Because that's what I'm looking for. Oh yeah, there is, I think. Can I see mentioned? Okay, it doesn't show me my old notifications. That's interesting. I'm trying to think of where I saw it. I got pinged a while ago. I'm just gonna actually just search for Aeroblaster in Discord. I better not open up in my. I'm thinking that maybe that's a bad idea. I can't remember what the last server I had open was. Or wait. Okay, it worked out fine. Never mind. So in the Pygame Discord server, someone pinged me a while back about using my stuff for testing the Pygame with the web browser stuff. So I'm gonna just search Aeroblaster. Old. There's a guy that got it running on a console. So we have the guy running it on a console. I'm trying to find. Oh, here we go. Yeah, this is the guy. I think that this is the same guy that's making that other thing you were talking about. I don't know if it's the. I didn't know it was called that. I thought it was called something else. So we have our Pygame WebAssembly tech demo. There are bugs here. I think like the game's not running at the right speed for some reason, maybe, or no, maybe it is. I don't know. There's also all these artifacts. I think you see these are the artifacts you see if you try to run my games on Mac. I think, which is interesting that it pops up here. I'm not actually no, I don't think it's the same artifacts, but the game mostly works, which is pretty cool. I'm really not sure where these visual artifacts came from. Anyways, this PMP guy is the guy that's making the project that you guys were talking about. Let me see if I can find PMP GitHub. So here's the guy. One of his popular repositories. So he's working on Pygame WebAssembly. Is this? So if you search here it is. This is the same guy. So I guess I am familiar with that project. I just didn't know it. I didn't know the name of it or anything. That's interesting. How many lines of code are there in Vagrant? I don't know. There's a couple thousand, I think. You should try using Vim or Vim Motions. I use Vim for work sometimes. I don't use it on my personal projects though. What makes a good programmer? So let's say one is at level, I want to do this equals, I can do it, what is next? What? So I'm not sure what you're saying with your example there. I don't know. There's a lot of ways you can define a good programmer. And so there's the aspect of just being able to write good code. There's the aspect of being able to do a lot of things with the code you're using. So there's all sorts of ways you can define it. It varies by person. It's a very relative term as well. I think it's more of just kind of a colloquial understanding of what a good programmer is rather than a strict definition. So I wouldn't go as far to say what that is. All right. Oh, I see we have bots again. I don't know why YouTube can't deal with these bots. Anyways. You were thinking Hacks Engine, which uses C# as far as you know, is worth using as it's what Dead Cells uses. I know someone that uses Hacks. It's interesting. I haven't looked into it. But I think it's growing in popularity. I think a fair amount of people use it in game jams nowadays. How do you manage bigger Python projects? Object-oriented programming. Actually, if you look back on the stream, when I talked about the reference tree and how I've set up everything as nodes, that's really how you deal with bigger game development projects, in my opinion. You just kind of create a bunch of objects and you just interact with, well, you just have update calls for them and you interact between all of them just kind of directly. But yeah, it does have to have things separated out into objects where it makes sense. And you can just kind of see my file names to see how I've kind of split this up. All right. Okay, I'm caught up on chat pretty much. So I've got projectiles bouncing off the walls when I shoot that. which is important. I also need to make sure it well, I get some stuff off of enemies as well, and then I also see them when I get hurt. So let's go over to find some enemies to shoot. I should also get shot. So I should be close to seeing something, maybe. Something should spawn in. Here it is. So I shoot him. I see that. That's good. I get hit. I see it myself. So that is what I wanted. So these two things are now done. We have wall and entity collisions for the sparks. So that just leaves this issue, which I was going to resolve off stream because of there's some sensitive stuff I have to deal with. But that sorts out all of the VFX things I wanted to do before the playtest. So added basic VFX. So I'm gonna go ahead and push that. And then that, as I said, is everything I want to do in this stream. So in my Discord server later today, I would expect in maybe 2 to 3 hours, I'm going to take a nap. I don't know how long I'm going to nap for. But then after that, I'm going to resolve this issue. I'm going to put out a new update from my launcher to be able to download. And then I'm going to have to just like send out the files to whoever wants to play for the playtest. So the playtest, as I said, is going to be in a couple hours here. It'll be in my Discord. I'll be in the voice channel. I'll let you guys know in the Discord server when it happens. So you just watch. There's this multiplayer game channel. So I think, did I say last time? Yeah. So I'll just look for this channel. This is where I'll announce it, and then down in the voice channels is where I'll be. You can join that if you want to join the playtest later. And I'll send out the files to whoever wants to participate. I'll probably run the playtest for maybe a couple hours or so. What'll probably happen is I'll probably be there for an hour or so, I don't know, and then I'll go and do my own thing while I leave the server running. Hopefully it doesn't crash, and then you guys can mess around for a bit, and then I'll probably shut it down later in the day. So yeah, if you want to join, head over there. I guess I'll see you guys in a couple hours here. I'll read the chat one more time and see if there's anything else before I end the stream. You gotta say again, you love how the inventory is on the left side of the screen. Too many games assume it has to be on the bottom. I think Terraria has it on the left side. Hold on. Or is it on the right side? I don't remember. So in Terraria, oh, it's actually horizontal on the top. So they have the health on the right. I'm not a huge fan of splitting the user interface like this. I kind of like all of my stuff in one spot. So like in Minecraft, you do have it where your health is like here, and your hunger is right next to that, and then you have your items. It's all in one spot you can look at. In Terraria, you have to look up here to see your items, or up here to see your health and mana, which I don't like. But generally, I put my stuff in the top left corner. But since the health bar is sticking out this way, I could technically put items that stick out across here, but that's kind of asymmetric, so it kind of makes more sense to go along the left side, which works out fine. And the other cool thing about that is, since you're using the scroll wheel to switch between items, it makes more sense because you're scrolling vertically rather than horizontally. But yeah, Terraria is an example of a game that doesn't have it on the bottom, and I think actually a lot of games don't have it on the bottom. It's just like Minecraft, and Minecraft has a lot of influence, I guess. I don't know. Is the playtest patrons only? No, anyone can participate as long as you're there. So in an hour or two, be ready. I think it's probably going to be a little bit more than 2 hours. We'll see. So just like keep an eye on that Discord channel, and you'll probably catch it. If you miss it, it's not a huge deal, I guess. I don't know. I guess the level of a deal it is if you miss it is up to you. But I don't know. Just keep an eye on the channel if you want to participate in that. It should be later today. If for some reason I cancel it, I will let you guys know in that channel probably. Anyways, thanks for watching the stream. I'm going to end it here, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.